Good evening. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to my dissertation chair, Dr. Candace Hinton, for nominating me for this honor. And I also want to extend a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Collins and the rest of the faculty for providing this opportunity to share some reflections on what I've learned. I'm especially grateful tonight that my wife, Rachel, is here, and my 3 children, Jonas, Jalen, and Reed, my mother and father, and my mother and father-in-law, to be here for this moment. So it was a cold and gray morning when I sat down to write these words, and there are many winter days like this one in Indiana, making it difficult to differentiate one from the next. This week was finals week at Taylor University. Each day grew progressively quieter. Earlier today, our student affairs team was able to speak into existence those blessed 5 words all student affairs professionals are waiting for. The residence halls are closed. As I walked through a vacant student center to my office this morning, I was reminded why I love what I do. The academic calendar paves the way for a good rhythm to life. The quiet and calm of a December morning stands in stark contrast to the noise and chaos of a morning in October, and I love them both. In a culture that demands speed and efficiency, the university defiantly stands. A physical space devoted to reflection, learning, and development. The idea of a university is still a good one. There are enough spaces devoted to instant gratification. It is good to protect the spaces where it is delayed. Tonight we're here to mark the end of a journey. While there have been many diverse roads that led us all here, I would contend that there is a common ground that we all share, a resolute belief in the transformative power of higher education. Over the last few years, our faculty here at Indiana State have challenged us to respond to a question that has been asked with greater frequency and volume in recent years, and one that we as educators are tasked to answer. It is an existential question that asks why any of this matters. What really is the purpose of higher education? While I don't assume that I can offer a comprehensive response in my short time here tonight, I want to offer an answer that I would not have given before I began my studies here at Indiana State. I have become convinced that the real purpose of higher education has less to do with developing students' ability to write or to speak, though those are of great importance. Rather, I'm persuaded that the lasting value of a higher education is discovered in the ability to develop students' capacity to listen. The ability to listen is seemingly in short supply. During the last presidential election, a study was conducted where junior high students gathered to watch one of the presidential debates. Following the debate, the students were asked a series of questions. The primary takeaway? No one listened. One 7th grader noted, "I think that they should have listened to each other, because one of the main things a president needs to have is listening skills for ideas and being open to different thoughts and opinions." Listening skills for ideas and being open to different thoughts and opinions. We'd be hard-pressed to find a better defense of a liberal arts education. So with this foundation in place, I want to suggest 3 critical developments that take place in students' lives, indeed 3 critical developments that have taken place in my own life through developing the skill of listening. The first of these developments is appreciation. It's an annual rite of passage for our freshmen to collectively bemoan, why do I have to take this class? Whether it's foreign language, creative writing, or something from the realm of fine arts, we hear these cries every year. For me, recalling my days as a sophomore undergraduate, this class was statistics. Quantitative reasoning was difficult for me in high school, and I developed a fixed mindset that I simply was not good at math. That fall, however, something changed. A caring faculty member met with me regularly outside of class and showed me that perhaps I was wrong about myself. In full transparency, I'm not saying that I developed a love for math. I did, however, develop an appreciation for it, and the part that it played in the larger story of my development. The design of a liberal arts education is one that invites students to listen to new ideas and challenges. It challenges their assumptions about a subject or even about themselves. If students can change their mind about statistics through the power of education, imagine what other forms of appreciation can be developed when we generously invite them to come and listen. Appreciation is the first worthy development of listening, but when students grow in appreciation, it makes clear the path for an even more important development, that of empathy. When I think of empathy, the first image that comes to mind is one of a warm evening in Macomb County in southern Alabama in the early 1930s. Jean Louise Scout Finch had a difficult day, and she shares the frustrations of her first day of school with her father, Atticus. Atticus listens empathetically to the trials and tribulations of her day, and once he has really listened to her concerns, he imparts wisdom. Atticus says, first of all, if you can learn a simple trick, Scout, you'll get along a lot better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. I first read this passage in my early teen years. Atticus's words to Scout set up camp in my heart and have played a role in my understanding of life and leadership ever since. Atticus listens with empathy and imparts a lasting lesson on the vital importance of truly seeking to understand others. Seeking to understand the experiences of others before rendering judgment is a vital development for the flourishing of society. Before I arrived here on the campus of Indiana State University, I had never had an African American woman as a teacher. Over the last 3 years, Dr. Mary Howard Hamilton and Dr. Candace Hinton have challenged me to lean in and listen to others who have had very different experiences from my own. I am so grateful. As I've listened to them and to my wonderful classmates of Cohort 19, I have made every effort to slow down and listen. Slow does not come easy to us. Our soundbite culture is all too often overwhelmed by the tyranny of the urgent. The pace we have created simply does not allow for us to take a moment and consider the perspectives of others. Rather, we've exchanged a careful process for one of immediate reaction based on labels that we carelessly construct. Many times these labels are established on surface level evidence, such as the color of one's skin, political allegiance, or religious creed. Of the many responsibilities we have in the work of education, certainly the development of listening that leads students along the path from reaction to empathy is one of critical importance to embrace. If we can spark a student's imagination by inviting them to listen, it may open the door to appreciation. And when a heart softens to appreciate something, one is now in a better position to empathize. And each of these first two developments opens the door further for the third and final development that I want to suggest this evening. And that's the development of love. When we challenge our students and ourselves to listen, we participate in the creation of a world in which it is easier to love. Earlier this week, a former professor and friend shared with me an essay by the scholar and teacher Marshall Gregory, in which he describes what it means for teachers to love their students. And speaking of love, Gregory points to the New Testament Greek word agape to illustrate his intent. Gregory posits, to love my students demands that I relate to them according to the three features of agape. First, to be unconditionally committed to their good. Second, to have regard for the well-being of all of them equally. And third, to be open to the possibility of self-sacrifice on their behalf. To really listen to others, we must sacrifice, relinquishing our own agenda on their behalf. In doing so, we look upon our students in love and invite them to hold such a disposition towards the world around them. My recently completed dissertation was a historical review of the actions taken by students at Lane Theological Seminary in Cincinnati, Ohio in 1834. Faced with the challenge of responding to the question of slavery, the students gathered for 18 consecutive nights to listen to one another and hear all sides. There were rooted opinions and strong feelings on both sides of these historic debates. Nonetheless, the students were not driven by emotion, but a common pursuit to apply their learnings toward a thoughtful response to the most pressing question of their day. In the middle of the proceedings, an emancipated slave by the name of James Bradley stood and shared from his lived experience as a slave. His testimony would play a pivotal role in determining the outcome of the debates. The students listened to James Bradley, and at the conclusion of the meetings, they resolved to commit their lives to the work of abolition. Shortly thereafter, the students' abolitionist zeal was seen as disruptive in the view of the Lane Board of Trustees. This ultimately resulted in a mass exodus of the students from the school. The exodus from one institution, however, led to opportunity at another, and the students' journey concluded at a new college home at Oberlin. It was there at Oberlin College that James Bradley became the first black student by way of institutional policy, the first policy of its kind in American higher education. Upon reflecting on his experience, James Bradley wrote these words: God will help those who take part with the oppressed. Yes, blessed be his holy name. He will surely do it. God preserve you and strengthen you in this holy cause until the walls of prejudice are broken down, the chains burst in pieces, and men of every color meet at the feet of Jesus, speaking kind words and looking upon each other in love, willing to live together on earth as they hope to live in heaven. Looking upon each other in love, willing to live together on earth as they hope to live in heaven. I don't know about you, but this sounds like something worth educating for. The nature of higher education work is one of many hellos and goodbyes. And as I reflect on this particular goodbye in my educational journey, I am grateful for the opportunity I was offered here at Indiana State University to listen. When I come to the end of my time in education, I do not want to be remembered for papers written, accolades received, or other measures of personal achievement. These things offer value, but that value is fleeting. The persistent purpose I find in this work is the daily opportunity to invest in the lives of students. Embedded within this is the hope for an impact that is not discovered in the contributions of one life, but many. So what is the purpose of higher education? The truth is there are many purposes. Economic benefit and development of both the intellect and individual identity are all compelling ends, just to name a few. The value of teaching students to listen, however, is foundational to all of these important developments. As educators, we all have great hopes for our students, that their impact on the world will extend far beyond what we could ever accomplish on our own. And this, in my view, is the enduring hope of our work as educators. As we challenge our students to listen, they may grow in their appreciation for that which is different, that their appreciation may develop into empathy, and their empathy result in love. So may we listen to our students and invite them to join us in this practice of love. I am grateful for the faculty who developed this practice in my life, and I hope to give this gift to many students for years to come. Thank you for the opportunity to share tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Offerly. The academic costume is a